I just finished up an interview for Echoes of War with a World War II veteran by the name of Frank Clark, who was at Iwo Jima. Pretty amazing story. And we found out in the midst of that interview that he actually has a display at this place right here. This is Soldiers Memorial in downtown St. Louis. And supposedly there's a painting that he donated to the museum a number of years ago of him and his two brothers that had died in World War II. So we thought we would stop by and check it out for ourselves. And I guess there's an interactive display. So I've been here before, but recently they redesigned the whole Soldiers Memorial, and they have a whole bunch of new stuff in there that I haven't got to see yet. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. The original structure was built as a dedication to the World War I dead in the St. Louis area, or maybe it was Missouri. Was dedicated by Franklin D. Roosevelt, and I can't remember his name, but one of the monuments men from World War II actually did some of the sculpting work that you see right here at the memorial. So we're gonna go in, check it out, and see what they have. Okay, so Soldiers Memorial, as I mentioned, was originally built to commemorate the veterans of the First World War. So this whole basement section is dedicated to St. Louis and the Great War. So this display, kind of walking you through U.S. involvement in World War I, which before that, there's some actions down in Mexico, chasing after Pancho Villa. It's where George Patton kind of made a name for himself originally. And then you're just kind of continuing on, progressing through the First World War. So this is something that I've always found interesting. This is a World War I hate belt. It's a belt that soldiers would kind of, I don't know, get like all these different buttons and stuff like that, and then hammer them into there, and then keep as a souvenir. Pretty interesting. So this is where the Spanish flu is said to have originated from, that killed more people than the war itself. Oh, and guns, guns, guns of the First World War. Here's a French light machine gun. I think soldiers pretty much hated that thing. It was a mess. And then look at this beast over here. It's a German MG 0815 machine gun. Gosh, that thing looks like a beast. So, of course, you can't have a proper World War I display without some gas masks. But look at this thing over here. That is some German body armor. Interesting. So, I've been to the World War I Museum in Kansas City, which is an incredible museum, and I think everybody should go. But this is really quite nice. This is a very cool World War I display. Here's one thing that I especially like, is that you're going to get some local history stuff about how Missouri was involved in not only World War I, but all of the wars that you're not going to find at a national museum. So here's a thing about Missouri mules and horses. Here's a Skull and Steel. This was a local steel company out of St. Louis. Here's something that was produced by Wagner Electric in Wellston, and that is a World War I depth charge. So there's all kinds of cool stuff here. I'm very, very impressed. This is a peace rattle, which I guess you'd spin that thing around and it makes, oh yeah, I can see the little gear there and the little clacker. So they use those to celebrate the end of the war. My gosh, I'll bet you this city was noisy. Okay, so once you get to the end of the display, Shows you some of the impact of the war, how it shaped the Middle East. So all of our issues that we see today in the Middle East can directly be traced back to World War I. And then, of course, to the next war, which is what leads you up into the next section. Okay, so we just left the World War I section, and now World War II. Okay, so we're in the other section of the museum, and look at who we found. And then here's the picture of Frank and his brothers, both who were killed in combat. So that's pretty cool that we just talked to the guy whose story is on display here. They've got the original painting somewhere. They really should put it out because, man, that is quite the story. Oh, and there's Ralph Goldsticker. I've interviewed him too. So you can go to this, and yeah, and you can get a little bit on Frank Clark. There's Ralph, and then they have a couple other local veterans that you can listen to their story. That's really cool. A little bit hard to see this flight jacket through the reflection. And there's also good old Norden bomb sight. Pretty cool. And then a collection of pins that they would pull to arm the bombs once they were in flight. Pretty cool. I know this is pretty sweet. This is a turret from a B-24 Liberator with twin 50 caliber guns. It's pretty neat that they have that here. Guns, guns, guns. Of course, there's an 03 Springfield, which saw action in World War I and World War II, and then the granddaddy of them all, the M1 Garand. Oh, and there's one on the needs list, the 1911. Wouldn't mind having an M3 submachine gun too, also known as the grease gun, which saw action from 1943. I'm not sure when it was taken out, but pretty iconic weapon from World War II, as well as the Thompson submachine gun. Yeah, so this is really kind of interesting. Obviously this is a chaplain's flag from World War I. You can see the old World War I doughboy uniform here that they have with it. Right next to the old trench knife, M17. That is a mean looking knife. Those are actually legal in war. I don't know if you'll be able to really tell. That's a triangular shaped blade. So that's not a knife that can be used anymore because it tears a hole that's too difficult to repair. Yeah, pretty cool paint job on that World War I helmet. It's from the 35th Infantry Division. Except for that. Looks too much like a bullseye for my liking. Now, here's something that you really don't see too often, and really from a conflict that not a lot of Americans know about, and that is the Spanish-American War, where my favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt, fought with the Rough Riders. This is from the Missouri Volunteer Infantry, 5th Missouri Volunteer Infantry. Pretty cool. I always find bring back items pretty interesting. This is a North Korean flag from the Korean War, and an opium pipe, and then a wallet that's been decorated by a soldier. It's pretty neat. And also a Soviet submachine gun. So yeah, going all the way through here, They have some stuff from the War on Terror, so a couple uniforms, but what's really interesting is this remnant of an IED from Iraq. That's pretty interesting that they've included that. Okay, so that was really quite nice. The World War I display was really cool. What I like is that you're getting a lot of local history mixed in with all of this. So you're kind of getting it more of on a medium scale. It's not local, it's not national, it's kind of somewhere right there in between. I also really like that they included some Iraq and Afghanistan stuff in there too. Anyway, that's Soldiers Memorial. It's free, and yeah, definitely worth the stop. Downtown St. Louis.